Folks, it's Andy here from Aussie Homestead. So I just thought I'd show you around my home vegetable patch that I've got going now. I planted most of them out in early September. It's now October, first week in October. I got the tomatoes in, and you'll probably notice that I use a colour bond fence behind them. The reason I use a colour bond fence is a number of reasons. The sun comes from my right hand side as I'm walking now, which the sun rises in the east in the southern hemisphere and sets in the west. So I use this here for a number of reasons. In winter, this green colour absorbs the heat and puts it back onto down to the ground down here. Keeps it about 17 degrees constantly, so that's the temperature that the plants like to germinate in. But you'll also notice if you look up close, there's a lot of spider webs on it. They are catching all of the fruit flies for me, so I never clean all the cobwebs off. My fence is covered in cobwebs and I actually promote them. So you'll notice a couple of things here. That's my tomatoes that are in. I'll bring you down here and you'll see, look right along here. If you look right at the base, right here, you'll notice right down on this very point, these have been buried twice as deep as they should be, because each of these little hairs down here form roots. So the deeper you bury these things, the longer your roots and the more water resistant they are. So in other words, you don't have to water them as often because you're promoting root growth. So that's one way of getting your tomatoes to grow a lot harder and a lot faster, is to actually not water as much, and that's pretty much the secret to it. You'll also notice this year we've got fruit fly traps in. We get smashed about November, second, third week in November, and absolutely annihilated by December. So I've got to get my crops in early. Problems with getting your crops in September is we can get a frost. We can get, like the second week in September, we can get a frost and it'll just bite the tops off of everything. But we've been lucky this year. So I've got the fruit fly traps in there. There's apple cider vinegar on a little sponge, and there's bananas, and we haven't caught any fruit flies yet. There's one buzzing around even as we speak. There's the odd one or two, but this trap by the end of December will be absolutely chockers. You'll also notice if you have a look up above, I use 30% shade cloth. So you can almost see through this shade cloth. That's only 30%. You can use for up to 40%. But what I'm doing is I'm cutting off that intense sun to these plants that are facing east. So the sun's on my right. So that's the tomato plants. And down here, this is just my home vegetable patch, so I'll pick a few bits and pieces out to eat. These beans, if you're in Australia, I would highly recommend you have a look at them. They're called Vitalis, V-I-T-A-L-I-S. They're one of the most extraordinary growing beans for Australian conditions that you could ever imagine. You can get the seeds at Bunnings, you can get them at any seed place. And they produce a kilo of beans per plant. And the beans grow long and flat and they're stringless. And you can get... And they grow to about 30 centimetres. I normally, you know what 30 centimetres looks like. That's a standard 12-inch ruler. But you can pull them earlier and eat them a little bit more tender if you want. But 40 plants will give you basically 40 kilos of beans. So I highly recommend anyone that hasn't grown Vitalis beans, get them into your garden, because you will not regret it. Second week in September you can plant those right up till you can plant them as late as December. Harvest time 8 to 10 weeks. On the left, more tomatoes. These are Romas. Be bottling those and making sauces. But you can see the spider webs on the fence. Most people go around and spray. I try not to spray. I use a couple of slug pellets occasionally. We get the odd snail that like to live in those crevices in the fences in there. I put a couple of snail pellets around, that knocks them over there. Alright, here's a different plant for you. I'll show you the chickens in a minute, but this plant here is called wormwood. Look it up, wormwood, as in worming. We grow this for the chickens. This is a natural way of worming your chickens. So we use apple cider vinegar, about a cupful in their 10-litre water container. And we put crushed garlic in there, and we put wormwood. We feed them this wormwood, and they eat it. Love it. It's a really unusual, pungenty smell to it. But look up wormwood, grow it for your chickens. When it gets bigger, just pluck off a few branches and throw it over. Here's some of my little spring onions this year. Use them in salads. White Lisbon spring onions, Ishikura spring onions. The red onions are always the last to pop their heads up. They take a long time to germinate. Thornless blackberry I'm putting in this year. I don't like normal blackberry because of the thorns. Lemon verbena. I'm going to have a look behind the gatey. This is to keep the chickens out. Whoever said chickens don't eat tomatoes? Ha! Don't let them anywhere near your veggie patch. Lemon verbena. Little mulberry. This one, used it for potatoes. Beautiful smell to it, like an aniseedy smell. There's a couple of spuds in there. Cucumbers. They'll be Evermores. Just a good salad cucumber. I only grow about 5-6 plants for myself. There's only me. A few spring onions in there. Coming around the corner we got mint. And more shallots, because I dry a lot of my shallots and preserve them. In this patch here you got your snow peas. Love snow peas. Again, harvest time, about 10 to 12 weeks. These have been in since the second week in September. And they are coming great guns. You see they don't use a lot of water. So I put the seeds in a little deeper. And there's a hell of a lot of nutrients in this soil. There's cow manure, chicken manure, aged chicken manure. You can't use chicken manure raw, it's too hot. That's called a cold. Use it in a compost heap and rot it down. Good old banana tree. A few strawberries. This is the big wormwood. This is what the chickens eat. I'll see if I can get the chickens over here and show you the 3 girls that I've got. I've got a few fruit trees I've got here. Kaffir lime. Show you the chickens that I've got. Chick chick. They think that they're going to get let out, but if you have a look at that black one down there, that's an Australorp. These are all heritage brands. So that's a Rhode Island red in the middle, and that is a silver-laced Wyandotte. So that one there's an Australorp. They're bred for Australian conditions. They can take the heat. They can take up to 50 degrees with no problems at all. Actually, the Rhode Island red is another heritage brand. She's the biggest of the 3. These are all heritage brands. So that one there's a silver-laced Wyandotte. Silver-laced Wyandotte. And she is the boss of these 3. She's the smallest chicken. She's as light as a feather. But she's the boss of these 3. The Australorp never stops bloody eating. Basically goes broody. She would make a good mother. Actually, she'd sit on eggs till they turn to gold. Actually, all 3 of these would make good mothers. These chickens live for 15 years. The reason I like my laying hens to be heritage hens is because of the long life. Okay, your normal Isa Browns, Isle of Whites, they all live, 5, 6, 7 years. They usually die of cancer. But these ones, heritage brands, will live for 15, 16 years. These girls are 7 years old now. Now, the difference between normal chickens and heritage brands is you'll get an egg every day off of your non-heritage ones. So they'll get 364, 365 eggs a year. These will lay between 200 and 300 eggs. I normally get, there's only me, so between the 3 of them, I normally get 1 or 2 eggs a day, generally 1. But yeah, that's just a quick little tour around my little home patch. Hope that's helped somebody, but I'll catch you up on the next one. See ya. Bye.